what happens when you take everything that made Ghost of Tsushima special and gives you a completely new hero and new settings, new weapons, and an even bigger world to explore. You get Ghost of Yōtei. This isn't the story of Jin Sakai. This time we are following Atsu, a lone warrior on a journey to revenge through the rough landscape of Enzo. And after spending hours exploring this world, fighting enemies, taking on Yotei 6, and experiencing Atsu's story, I had one big question. Because that's a huge challenge. Ghost of Tsushima became one of the PlayStation more memorable open world adventures. So today, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about Ghost of Yōtei. We are talking about the story, combat, exploration, world design, graphic performance, and everything that makes this game worth playing, or potentially not worth your money. And stay until the end because I will give you my final score and tell you whether I think Ghost of Yōtei is a must play on PlayStation 5. Let's get into it. Ghost of Yōtei takes place around 300 years after the events of Ghost of Tsushima, and right away that gives you the game an important advantage. It doesn't need to continue Jin Sakai's story. Instead, Sucker Punch gets to tell something completely new. Our protagonist is Atsu. 16 years before the events of the game, Atsu's family was murdered by a group of known as Yotei 6. Atsu was left for dead, but she survived and now she's back. With the 6 names to hunt down: the snake, the honey, the kitsune, the spider, the dragon, and Lord Saito.
Hey, get his legs! Easy. Easy, boy. It's all right. They're sorry. Aren't you?
And I really like this setup, because it gives the game a clear purpose. You are not just wandering around because there is a giant map waiting to be explored. You are hunting people, you are following leads, you are discovering information as you progress in the game. The story starts becoming about more than a simple revenge. That's an important part of Atsu's journey, because underneath all the violence is a story about revenge actually does to someone. And that's where I think Ghost of Yōtei separates itself from simply being Ghost of Tsushima 2. Atsu isn't Jinx. Her personality is different, her motivations are different, and her relationship with people she meets along the way help shape her journey. The game also does a good job of giving you moments where you can slow it down. Sometimes you are simply traveling through the world, taking to someone, discovering something new, or taking in the scenery. And the slower pacing is something I really appreciate. However, if you are expecting the story immediately grab you in the same way as Ghost of Tsushima did, your experience may vary. There are moments where the pacing can feel slower, but once the story gets moving, the journey becomes much more appealing. And more importantly, I actually care about where Atsu's story was going.
Well, are you going to give me a light?
Now let's talk about the part Ghost of Yōtei that I think most players are going to love. The combat. If you have played Ghost of Tsushima, you will immediately feel at home. But Ghost of Yōtei doesn't simply copy what came before. it expands the combat system with more wider range of weapons and fighting styles. You've got the katana, but Atsu can also use weapons such as Odachi, spear, Kutsarigama, and fire weapons depend your progression and situation, and gives the combat a much greater sense of variety. One of the things I love about this fight is that I can look incredible cinematic without taking control completely away from the player. You can block, parry, dodge, counterattack, switch weapons, use range weapons, and when everything comes together the combat feels fantastic. There are also different enemies that encourage you to think about how you are approaching a fight. Instead of simply attacking everything with the same weapon over and over again, you are encouraged to understand what you are fighting. And that's important because it stops the combat from becoming completely repetitive. The duels are another highlight. These encounters slow everything down. It's just you and your opponent, no distractions, no giant groups of enemies, just timing, positioning, and patience. And when you finally land that final strike, there is something incredibly satisfying about it. But I don't think the combat is flawless.
Who are you? You live, little wolf. I thought we killed your whole family. But here you are. The swordsmith's daughter.
My name is Atsu.
There are moments where the actions can become chaotic, especially when you are surrounded by multiple enemies. And like any third-person action game, camera positioning can occasionally become an issue. But overall, the combat is one of the biggest reasons I recommend Ghost of Yōtei. It feels responsive, it looks fantastic, and most importantly, it makes you keep fighting.
Did you dream of this?
You don't scare me!
And then there is Enzo. This might be the real star of Ghost of Yōtei. Soccer Punch has created a world that is absolutely beautiful. You've got huge grasslands, snow-covered mountains, forest, village, rivers, cliffs, and some incredible views around Monte Yotei. But what I appreciate the most is that the world doesn't constantly scream at you. It gives you rooms to breathe. You can ride your horse across the countryside, you can stop and admire the environment, you can follow different leads, you can discover optional activities, or you can simply ignore everything and continue with the story. The developers also give you more freedom in how you approach the adventure, rather than simply following one straight path through the entire game. You are giving choice which leads to follow, which targets to hunt, and that makes the exploration feel more personal. You are not just following a checklist, you are making decisions about where you want to go next. There is also a really nice balance between peaceful moments and dangerous encounters. 1 minute you are standing in a field surrounded by flowers, and the next you are walking into a situation where you absolutely should have brought your sword. And that's what makes the world feel unpredictable. But there is one thing I think players need to understand. This is a still and structured open world experience. You are not getting a complete freedom something like GTA. But honestly, I do think you need it. Ghost of Yōtei is designed around exploration, atmosphere, combat and storytelling. And for me, that works. Visually, Ghost of Yōtei is stunning, and because this game we built specially for PS5, Sucker Punch has been able to push the world further than before. The environments are enormous, the slideless are impressive, and the amount of detail in the world is incredible. One of my favorite things is simply looking into the distance. You can see mountains, forests, buildings, weather, and a huge landscape stretching out in front of you. And there is lightning, sunrise, sunset, snow, rain, fog, nighttime. Everything can completely change the mood of an area. And that's exactly what I want from a game like this. I don't just want technically impressive graphics, I want a world that make me want to stop playing, just to look at it. Ghost of Yōtei definitely has these moments, and the PS5 Pro support gives you players an enhanced experience if you are playing on a Sony more powerful console. The DualSense also adds another layer. You can feel different actions through the controller, including combat and transversal. It's not something that completely changed the game, but adds to immersion. And then there is the sound, the music, the wind, the footstep, the clash of the weapons, the sound of nature around you. It all works together to create the atmosphere that feels distantly Japanese without becoming distracting. This is one of those games where I genuinely recommend playing with headphones if you can. It makes the world feel much more alive.
Are you lost?
I'm looking for some old friends. The Yotei 6.
Show her the door.
Another thing I want to talk about is Atsu herself, because replacing Jin Sakai is never going to be easy. Jin became an iconic PlayStation character, but Atsu isn't trying to replace him. And I think that's important. She has her own personality, her own history, and her own reasons for becoming the warrior she is. As the game progressed, the people she met also become increasingly important, and some of the quieter conversations are just as memorable as the major battles. That's something Soccer Punch understands extremely well. You need those quiet moments, because without them, the big moments don't have the same impact.
Price on your head.
Tell me, how much am I worth to the Yotei 6?
Ghost of Yōtei also gives you plenty of opportunities to make the experience your own. Different equipments, different weapons, different approach to combat, and of course photo mode. And let's be honest, this might be one of the easiest games ever made to create beautiful screenshots from. You can pause almost any moment and find something that looks like a movie poster. If you enjoy photo mode, you are going to have a lot of fun here.
Quiet! Don't let that bitch scare you! We are going to kill you, then burn this place to the ground! You're dead! No, please! Please! Don't hurt me! No, please! I give up!
So let's quickly talk about what Ghost of Yōtei gets right. What I love is the world. It's beautiful, it's atmospheric, incredible, rewarding to explore. The combat, fast, satisfying, and visual spectacular. The variety of weapons. Having different ways to approach the combat adds a lot to the experience. The story is amazing. Atsu Journeys gives the name his own identity, rather than simply repeating Jin's history. And finally, the presentation. The graphics, the music, sound design, and animation all come together incredibly well. But it's not perfect. There are some moments where the pacing slows down. Some activities can feel familiar if you have played Ghost of Tsushima extensively. And if you are expecting a completely revolutionary experience, you might find some of the fundamentals very familiar. But personally, I don't see that as a major problem. Sometimes improving excellent formula is better than completely changing, and Ghost of Yōtei understand what made the predecessor special.
You never answered my question. How much am I worth to the Yotei 6?
And there is also here for players who aren't ready to put the game down after finishing the main story. New Game Plus allow you to replay Atsu journey while carrying your progression forward. That includes your gear, upgrades, cosmetic and research. There is also additional content and rewards to work towards. And if you are looking for something completely different, Ghost of Yōtei Legends adds online cooperative multiplayer. It is available as a free update for owners of the game. You can play with other players through different modes and classes, including Samurai, Archer, Mercenary, and Shinobi. This is a great addition because it gives Ghost of Yōtei more life beyond of a single-player campaign. So even after you have finished Atsu's story, there is still a reason to return.
That's the spirit. And you can call me Lan. Come.
So after everything I've experienced, is Ghost of Yōtei worth playing? Absolutely. But here is what I think is the most important. Ghost of Yōtei doesn't need to be Ghost of Tsushima. It doesn't need Jim Sakai. It doesn't need to copy the exact same story. It simply needs to create a new reason for us to care about this world. And Atsu does that. The world of Enzo is stunning. The combat is fantastic. The exploration is rewarding. And the story gives you a new ghost worth following. Is it perfect? No. But very few games are. For me, Ghost of Yōtei is one of those games that reminds you why single-player adventures are so special. You can lose yourself in the world, you can forget about everything else for a few hours, and simply follow the wind. My score is 9 out of 10. Ghost of Yōtei isn't just a worthy follow-up Ghost of Tsushima, it's a fantastic adventure that managed to create its own identity. And if you own a PlayStation 5, this game I would absolutely recommend you to put in your list. Now I want to hear from you. Have you played Ghost of Yōtei? Do you think it's better than Ghost of Tsushima? And most importantly, what score you will give it to it? Let me know down in the comments. And if you enjoyed this review and you want more honest games reviews, gameplay and game content, hit the subscribe button. I'm building this channel one of the game at a time. I'd love you to have along for the journey. Thank you for watching and we'll see you in the next review.